this is Pamela, and you are watching Pam Entertainment TV, where we review movies, television shows, and incidents in pop culture just to see how those incidents affect our daily lives. Listen, we have a new show that we are reviewing. We are reviewing the Fresh Prince of Bel Air reboot on Peacock called Bel Air. So what they've done is that they've taken the premise of the show of the Fresh Prince of Bel Air, and they've made it basically a drama, which I think was genius. It was absolutely genius because now they can be very in depth about the characters. So if you're not familiar with the Fresh Prince of Bel Air, which I think a whole host of people are familiar, but if you are not, the Fresh Prince of Bel Air aired on NBC back in the 90s, and it starred Will Smith. What made it groundbreaking, just a little history lesson, what made it groundbreaking is because Will Smith was a rapper. He was a Grammy-nominated rapper. Him and DJ Jazzy Jeff were the first rap group to win a Grammy. Because at that time, rap was not considered to be a respectable art form of music back in the day. And Will Smith and DJ Jazzy Jeff became really, really famous for doing their raps and things like that. One of the things that set Will apart from the other rappers like LL Cool J, and I'm trying to think of all the people that were rapping around his time, Kool Moe Dee, I want to say, because he was rapping in the late 80s, early 90s. So I do think that gangster rap was just coming in. Because at that point in time, rappers came out of New York. If you were not out of New York, they weren't messing with you. They didn't bother with you. You had to come out of New York to be considered a rapper back then. But with Will coming out of Philly, and one of the things that set Will apart, that made him mainstream, is he was a rapper that didn't cuss. He didn't cuss. He didn't call women out of their names. He didn't do any of those things. And he did that out of respect for his grandmother. And you can look him up in many interviews if they're on the internet where, he did that out of respect for his grandmother. Because his grandmother said she didn't want to hear him cussing and doing all that kind of stuff. So he was a lyricist, and he was one of those guys that were having fun. He was like rap in the early 80s where people were dancing. You were still pushing your skills and repping your hood, but most of it was your lyricism and those things of that nature. Okay, y'all. So I'm not going to sit up here and try to act like I'm some kind of rap historian. I'm coming straight off the dome with these. Anyway. So, what made that the Fresh Prince of Bel Air groundbreaking? Number one, Will Smith was a rapper, not an actor. He actually learned how to act while he was on the Fresh Prince of Bel Air. I remember an interview he did many, many years ago where he said that he remembered everybody's lines on the show so he would know where he was supposed to go. And he said if you look in that first season of the Fresh Prince of Bel Air, you would actually see him mouthing everybody's lines. If the edit didn't catch him right, but he was mouthing everybody's lines because he wanted to make sure that he got his cue right. It was a real interesting interview. Anyway, but the Fresh Prince of Bel Air was actually based off a guy named Benny Medina, who had come from he went from the hood to a swanky living with his uncle or aunt not in Bel Air, but I think it was somewhere in Los Angeles. Don't quote me. So, but anyway. This iteration of the Fresh Prince of Bel Air, which is called Bel Air, catches up. The character is named Will Smith, who is from West Philadelphia. It's taking his story, but giving it a more dramatized feel. So let's just go over. Now, let me explain this too before we go on. They dropped the first 3 episodes on Peacock. So the first episode is called Dreams and Nightmare. The second episode is called Keep Your Head Up. And the third episode is called Yamakra. Okay, so what I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to be reviewing all 3 of the episodes that they dropped. So this, I'm hoping it's not going to be that lengthy, but I just wanted, because trying to separate them all after I've watched them all is let's get into this thing, okay? So let's talk about the characters. So we see Will and his friend, I didn't write his friend's name down, but I'm going to learn, I think his name was Dre. But Will and his friend are in West Philadelphia. They're basketball players. They are good students. They're just, a little cocky. His mom works at the hospital. He is a D1 basketball player. Now, I don't know what those terms mean. So if I've got some basketball enthusiasts, put that down in the comment about how you rank high school basketball players, because I know that like certain schools I know kids like to either go to certain schools or they like to be like in certain schools, or have certain backing, so the college recruiters and all those people will come see them. I know it's a whole system. I'm not sure of the ins and outs of it, but if you have just a little cursory knowledge about it, drop that down in the comments, because it's interesting to see. But he's considered a D1 basketball player, and he's considered basically to go to any college that he wants to go on a full ride basketball scholarship. And plus, he's a good student. He's got the grades to back it up. So he's going to school. If it doesn't work out in basketball, academically, he could probably get a scholarship as well. So him and his friends are the big high school basketball players, right? They're walking home one day. Now, this is in episode 1 entitled Dreams and Nightmare. They're walking home one day, and they bump into another guy that went to their school who was a basketball player. He riles them up, basically challenges them to a basketball game. Now, mind you, this young man, he gave in to the dark side. He went from a young Anakin to old Darth Vader real quick. But he fell into what the culture was in the streets. And, in the streets, everybody's very cocky. Everybody has something to prove. You can't, your respect and your name means everything. And so things you can't walk away. And that's how Will is. Will is cocky. He has built his whole persona about being the man. And so when this guy challenges him to a basketball game, he doesn't relent. And a lot of that has to do, too, about the gaze that was on him. Now, when we pan over to the side, we see that the girls have a gaze on him. And so he doesn't want to look weak in front of the girls. And so he is going to challenge this guy at a basketball game at night because he don't want to look weak. Now, mind you, this young man who they're talking to, he works for one of the biggest drug dealers that's in their neighborhood. So that guy in the neighborhood is respected, and I'm putting respect in the quotations because he's feared. And a lot of times people confuse fear with respect. Abject fear with respect. So Will doesn't want to look soft in front of the girls, in front of the neighborhood or anything like that. So he goes to do this basketball game at night. His friend, who understands what's going on and understands the people that they're dealing with on a little deeper level than Will does, because Will seems a little bit too naive for me in that situation. I guess he thinks it's going to be, because he plays basketball, I guess he thinks turnabout is going to be fair play, but we'll continue. His friend realizes what's going on, and he realizes that ain't what's going on. That's not what the deal is, Will. So the friend foolishly brings a gun to the situation. So he has the gun in the backpack. And first Will's like, what are you doing? He's like, man, you need to understand, we going into a situation and we need to be prepared. Will's just thinking, oh, I'm just going to beat this. I'm going to get my name and get my respect back. Da-da-da-da-da-da. He gets there. The drug dealer's name is Rashawn or Rashad. It's one of the two. Let me look at my notes. I know I wrote his name down. Rashad. And so Rashad's there. And you know how, how some hood guys are, is that they like to be feared, and they interpret fear as being respect. And so they will do certain things, and it's just manipulation. They will say and do certain things, and your word is your bond. So if you say something that you're going to do something, best believe they expect for you to do it. So Will and his friend get to the basketball court. Rashad is like, okay, you gonna play my man, you gonna play the guy that works for him. I'll tell you what, let's put a wager on it. The friend is like, nah, man, let's not put no wager on it. Will is cocky. Yeah, let's go and put a wager on it. He puts a wager on it, and here's the wager. You win, I'll give you $2,000. You lose, you've got to come work for me. So you can see and feel the implications of that. What will that be? Because if Will says he gets the bet, he lost, and then decides he doesn't want to work with him, you know what Rashad's going to do. And so that's how they get caught up in this whole cycle about staying in there, because they don't understand you can opt out. You can opt out. But with everything you do, if you opt in or if you opt out, there are consequences. And like I said, Will is a good basketball player, but he has a cursory knowledge of what's going on in his neighborhood. But he don't really feel he's been really shielded from all of the aspects of it. So in other words, he's all into it with the way they wear their clothes, the way they speak, the way they do all those other stuff. But when you start getting down to the nuts and bolts of that wager, it's like, and if you don't do what I say, I'm going to kill you. I don't know if he was really understanding that situation. Well, they play. And it ends up that they win. Right? Everybody's celebrating, and Rashad is counting his money because he's true to his word. He gonna give the man the $2,000. The guy who challenged Will to the basketball game at the beginning takes the basketball like he's throwing it at Will. It misses Will, but it hits Rashad. When Rashad looks over, he sees Will and his friends celebrating and stuff, and he thinks that Will and them have thrown the ball. Actually, it's the other dude. And then his old scary butt decides that he gonna walk away and leave it like that. Like, oh, I don't know what's going on. I don't understand what's going on. And he walks away. So Will, being cocky, he's like, man, just give me my money. I didn't do anything like that. Well, they got into a tussle. They started fighting. Well, when they started fighting, Will's friend was getting jumped. They were kicking and beating Will's friend, and Will was handling his own, but then when he looked and saw his friend was getting beat up, he couldn't go over there and help him. So what he decided to do, he went to the friend's backpack, he gets the gun, and he clack-clow. He shoots about 3 or 4 rounds off. Well, what happens as he's doing that, the police are coming up. Because the police are there. He drops the gun, the police arrest him, and all the people that were there. I think it was maybe like 3 or 4 people that got arrested. The friend doesn't get arrested because, all the rest of them run. So it's Will, Rashad, and 2 more people that get arrested. He gets arrested. His mom on the back scene calls in some favors and stuff like that. Then Will gets set free. Now, while Will is in jail, Rashad is taunting him. And he's taunting him to the point and doing stuff like this, letting Will know that, hey, I'm going to get you. I'm going to get, it's me and you. It's on sight, basically. So Will is a little scared. He's crying, especially when you've never been arrested before. And heavy, especially when that anything you do is interpreted as a threat, and police officers swear are fearful of their life, and they get to shooting. And that's a whole nother thing. Is you can be fearful for your life with black folks, but white people that do stuff like that, you're not fearful of your life. But anyway, I digress. Bringing it back up. So Will gets out. Well, Rashad is suspicious of that because he's like, how'd he get out? What did he do? How did he get out of here before me? You know, that kind of thing, because, you know, you don't understand. And the only thing that they understand is he must have snitched. Well, Will don't know what's going on himself because it was a lot of behind the scenes mess. So let's catch you up on the behind the scenes mess. What happened is when his mother found out that he was arrested, and what happened was she figured out what had happened, she had to get Will out of town because she already knew that man was going to try to kill her son, and she did not want to bury her son. So she decided that he was going to go live with her sister in Bel Air. So apparently the sisters haven't communicated or been in touch with each other for a while, but they're family. So she has made these plans behind the scene, and you know, Will is man, I can get this right and everything like that. And she's just basically putting him down. She says, I'm not fixing to bury you because you're too cocky to understand the seriousness that's going on. Man, I can handle it. She says, no, you cannot. You shot a gun around a drug dealer. You hit a drug dealer. He is not going to let that stand. So either you're going to bow down to him or he is going to kill you. And because he has a rep to keep up, he is going to kill you. So Will is upset, honey. She took Will to the airport so quick it made your head spin. She didn't give him time to counter, do nothing. He crying and everything. She says, no, you're going over there. And he's like, well, you know, I'll be there for a weekend. She says, oh, no. You're going to be there until it blows over. At the least, you may be there for Christmas. At the most, you just may be staying there. Because you're not coming back here. You're just not coming back here. So he is, you know, he's still under the realization that, he can do stuff and he can handle stuff. So he flies out to Bel Air. Now, I'm going to tell you, I can't remember how, was Jazz the Uber driver? I can't remember. But anyway, he hooks up with Jazz. And Jazz drives him out from the airport to his folks' place. Baby, when Will gets there, culture shock, because it's like this big old huge mansion. You come from living in a probably a 2-bedroom 1-bath apartment that's probably 950 square feet to this looks like this 14,000 square foot mansion, baby. I know that would have been culture shock for me because I'd have been like, what the devil? So he gets in and he sees his Aunt Viv, gives her a hug and everything like that. Now, he gets there, and they're in the middle of a fundraiser. But let me back up, because this is where we are introduced to Jeffrey. Now, Jeffrey is a Jamaican guy by way of London. Girl, swag for days. So he helps Will get his stuff, and, you know, Will is unsure because he is... I don't know how he works out what he's doing with Mr. Banks, but he says he's the house manager, but he rolls in there like he rolls like he family. So I'm just like, ooh. So I don't know if he does dirty work for him, or I don't know exactly what's going on, but I know that Mr. Banks is a very, very successful litigator, lawyer, and he's worked on a lot of claims and stuff like that. So he has made his money, honey, and it's good to see it. So Will gets in there, and like I said, he's a fish out of water. He's introduced to Hillary, and Hillary helps him get some clothes. They get him in the way. You know, he's wearing Carlton's clothes now. So we're introduced to Aunt Viv. We're introduced to Jeffrey. We're introduced to Hillary. And baby girl, what is baby girl's name? Hillary Carlton. Ashley. So let's talk about the different characters real quick. So like I said, Jeffrey is the house manager. He is taking care of anything, but he has a lot of swag about him. We have Aunt Viv. Aunt Viv is a college professor. She's an art teacher, and back in the day she was a up-and-coming renowned artist. We have Hillary. Hillary is tapped into the social media scene. Hillary is a cook, and she does her recipes and things like that, so she's tapped into that. Carlton is Carlton is the head guy. He's not the head guy, but he's a very popular guy at his school. Everybody respects him. He's smooth talking, and he's used to being the guy. And we will talk about that later. The guy. So, Carlton is a little salty about Will being there because he doesn't really understand why Will is there. They're just saying that he wanted to get a better education. Now, we are also introduced, and this is why it's a drama. So we each one of those characters have their own little subset plots. Like I said, Carlton is the guy in campus. There are other black kids on campus that I see, but apparently he likes to be the one seen. And also he says he's taking Xanax. So I didn't know that you could crush Xanax up and snort it like cocaine. That's something new to me. But it looked like cocaine. He carries it like it's cocaine, but he says it's Xanax. So I guess I'm not sure. Does anybody know? I'll look that up. No, nobody put that in the comments. So I don't want nobody telling me no mess like that. I'll look it up on Google that if you could do something like that. But I didn't know that. But Carlton is, so the better way for me to say this is Carlton is caught up in the code switch. And he is so wanting to be accepted by his peers that he is sacrificing a lot of who he is and way he was raised to be like his peers. Now, I don't want anybody to mishear me. Carlton is a rich kid. He has grown up as a rich kid. That's not the issue. The issue is that a lot of times, and now we're going to come back out a little bit. A lot of times what happens, so I grew up being that kid after civil rights and being integrated into schools. And so what happens is you'll have us black kids that are integrated into the school, and there would be times where you and maybe two other people would be the only black kids in a sea of in school. Now that's how it was for me going in elementary. Things changed when I got to junior high school. I went to a junior high school that was predominantly black. And in high school, I went to a high school where it was like 20 to 30% black, right? So he appears to be in that situation where he is probably 1 to 2 black kids in the school. He is operating in pretty much a system where all the white guys kind of control everything, and he is trying to make his way through there. He is accepted into that world, but at their terms. So he acts like them, he talks like them, he moves like them, and there are some things that he lets slide so that he can go along to get along. And I made that big old speech because we come up to Carlton and Will going to school. Well, Carlton introducing Will to his friends, to Carlton's friends, and all the white guys and Carlton are in the locker room, and they're singing this rap song, and the N-word is just flying. So Will, coming from a culture that white people don't say that, that's not couth for white people to say that, for then him to see his cousin just out there just billy bopping with them, and the guy who's saying the N-word all the time, he has halted himself on the bench. So he's up high looking down at Carlton, and Carlton is just jipping and jigging to that. And so for a lot of us who are black folks, we can get into this debate about whether black folks can say the word or not, or whether it's accepted to say the word or not. It's jolting to see white kids wanting to say it so bad, and the way the world is right now, a lot of them are not learning why that word is so powerful, why that word is so impactful, especially coming from them versus a rap guy singing it in his music. So it's a big debate on that. That could be a whole nother thing. But from Will's perspective, that's what he sees. He stops all of that. He's like, what are you doing? You don't do that. You're not supposed to say that. Carlton's like, wait a minute, hold up. And Carlton gives the argument, well, black men get up here and they sing this rap music and they're marketing in this music and saying the words, and the people who are buying the music are little white kids in the suburbs, and that they're sitting in the room saying it. So he's like, if they're saying it, why can't we say it? Why can't they say it? A whole different type of debate. So you can see at this point that Will and Carlton, again, culturally, they're different, right? Ethnic wise, they're the same, but culturally, they are different, okay? Racially, they're the same. Ethnically, they are the same. They come from the whole thing, but, Will's Aunt Viv comes from the same ethnic group as Will, if we're gonna go there, but culturally, because Carlton and them live out in California, and they are wealthy, they live in a different culture than Will does. So Will comes from a different culture. Now they're clashing. So there's a lot of sub stuff going on. Let me see. He introduced that. Let me go back to the party. Remember we talked about the party earlier. Will goes up to his uncle to meet with him, and the uncle is in that. Again, there's this. He's running for office, so he's in that politician mode. And Will comes up, just talking, not understanding. You don't just, he's used to being flashy and talk. He's got a gift of gab. So the uncle is trying to quiet him down on that. Lay low, like, hey, you don't be telling everybody because you don't know whose ears are listening or anything like that. But Will doesn't understand that. But he doesn't check Will like that. He just says, hey, it's good to see you. He just tells him, look, it's good to see you. We'll talk later. Let me do what I got to do. And then here come old smooth Jeffrey, honey. I got my eye on Jeffrey because Jeffrey he seemed like he a little bit more than a house manager. He seems like he a little bit more than a house manager, but I got my good eye on Jeffrey. Jeffrey looked like he liked to rumble with the big boys. I'm just saying, that's that vibe he gives me. He gives me this cool vibe, but he feels like he can rumble with the big boys. All right. So Jeffrey takes him back and they talk or whatever. So that evening, Uncle Phil was talking to Will. And here's one of the things that kind of touched you, because you have that male energy that's coming in. And so Phil is an established man. And here comes Will off of this energy. And I'm just going to say it. Will has probably been told by his mama is his mama, but his mama has always probably treated him like he was the head of the household. So, or he was the man in the household instead of keeping him here. He is a child. He is a growing young man, but you've probably given him the impression that he could be able to, he's the man. He can do all this just because of the fact that he is male. And you see that energy bump heads. And it was just a good interchange to see how Uncle Phil was like, I see you, young blood. I see you. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful to you, but what we gonna have here is I am the man of this household, so you do what I say. And then the first thing that Will says, well, I don't need no dad. He wasn't on that stuff. He's like, I'm the man of this house. So when you're in my house, you run by my rules. And he talks to Will and everything like that. And I love to see the fact that there are emotions flowing, especially from guys. So and men folk being there to talk to them, good men folk, because you have some men folk that'll tell these young kids, oh, only thing you need to be doing is having sex, and can't nobody tell you nothing, and anywhere you lay your hat is your home, and you the man, without the tenets of what it is to graduate into manhood, to be all of that. Whole nother story, but I just wanted to say that because that energy was present. Now, the only thing about that is, with that energy, is that Carlton is, you can tell, is wanting that type of energy from his father. And his father is just like, okay, well, Carlton is acting like he got it all together. That's good. We are working with Carlton. There is no love lost, but I would say this. I think Phil has an understanding of Will because they kind of come from, even though they're from different places in the United States. Phil comes from the South, Will comes from the North, but they have an understanding. They didn't have anything, and he sees himself in Will more so than he sees himself with Carlton, because Carlton has had all the amenities, and Phil worked so that Carlton will have that, but they don't have the same type of mindset. I'm enjoying this show because it's making me understand and feel all those different things. Anyway, wait a minute. So I've been talking for 30 minutes, and we just on the first episode. Excuse me. So I will break this up because it would be too long trying to get to 3 episodes in there. So we'll conclude this. We find out that Hillary is a cook. She was in school. She decided not to continue to go through school. So Aunt Viv is trying very hard to help Hillary get on track, because apparently she's been out of school for probably 2 years now. And so she called in a favor for Hillary. And that favor was for her to meet up with this magazine and possibly do some cooking and stuff like that for the magazine. So Hillary is getting ready for all of that. We understand that Will's friend back in Philly is on the run from the gang. He calls Will. He lets Will know that, hey, these people are after me. I need to, we need to make this right. It needs to be right. So Will thinks that he's going to hop back on a plane and go to Philly and, be able to handle this situation with Rashad. So Will tries to sneak out of the house. Baby, this is what I'm telling you. That Jeffrey, I think he rumbles with the big boy. Because the next thing you know, Will calls Jazz to come pick him up, to take him back to the airport. Jazz comes to the house to pick him up, rolls up. Will is scaling the fence, crossing over the fence. The guy said, what kind of Call of Duty? What kind of mess is this? Why are you walking out the door? Because, the gate's locked. Baby, by the time Will drops down, gets into the car, and begins to tell Jazz where he wants to go. Baby, here come Jeffrey. Jeffrey is sitting down there like, giving, because that's what got me. Jeffrey got all this money to hand out. Here, $100. Here it is, here that. You do this, you do that. And then Uncle Phil comes. And Uncle Phil tells him, you ain't gonna go nowhere. What do you think you doing? You didn't see all them cameras I got on my house? What are you doing? Where are you going? You are here, and you are here to stay. And Will is like, I gotta go, but he says, listen. They talk about manhood and all of this other stuff. And he was like, if, you're a man, you look another man in the eye when he talking to you. And all of this kind of stuff. Now, this is men stuff. I don't get in all of that. But it was good to see, again, Uncle Phil is like, I am the head of this house. And you're going to do what I say. But he does it in a way that is not like this. It's like he's talking to Will. He recognizes that you can talk to Will, and Will will be able to hear. But at the same token, Uncle Phil is talking to Viv, and he's like, listen, we're in the middle of a whole lot of stuff. And I'm on this campaign and all this other stuff. He says, I'm good for Will to come here, but I don't want anything to derail. So here's where we're going to stop for this, because there's a couple of things that I noticed. Aunt Viv says we owe Will this. And Uncle Phil is like, yeah, we do. And they mention his father. So something has happened in regards to Will's father. And this is why Aunt Viv feels so, because like I said, her and her sister have not been communicating as often. And we learned that Will's mother is her older sister. So there's something going on there between Aunt Viv, Will's mom, Uncle Phil, and whoever Will's father is. There's something going on here. So that was just something that I picked up on. So did you watch the first episode? Because they dropped this weekend on Peacock. If you haven't watched it, I think you should watch it. It looks like it's going to be good. The first 3 episodes, I'm hooked. So, we going to stick beside this show. But let me know what you think, okay? All right, people. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please leave me a comment. I know there's a few of you that do leave me a comment, but I do see there are a lot of you all that are watching. So just let me know that you're here. You can leave a smiley face or anything for the engagement. Just let me know that you're here. If you like what you see and you're not one of my subscribers, please subscribe. It's down here somewhere. Wherever my camera works out, that is down here. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification button, and you'll be notified of my videos. My usual course of dropping videos is usually on Sundays and Thursdays, but it's looking like with the new shows that I'm picking up, it might be Mondays and Thursdays, okay, or Mondays and Thursdays, or Mondays and Wednesdays, whatever. It's going to be twice a week. You'll get a video from me twice a week, okay? So we're going to be reviewing this show. I'm excited about this show. We still are reviewing Kings of Napa. I'm going to stick beside it. So we're going to review that show. I'm gearing up. This is the week, y'all. Is it? Is it the week? Let me check out. Hold on, y'all. Yes. So it's going to be Saturday. This Saturday, I am going to, I had promised that I was going to watch a movie for Black History Month, a black movie that I have not seen before, and I was going to rewatch a movie that I hadn't seen in a while, just to get my take on both movies at my age right now. So, Saturday, I'm going to be watching Harlem Nights. And then I will come back here and review it with you. I may do it as a watch along and go from there, because my reaction to that, and with you all that have watched it before, you all can kind of help me through that. I have been introduced by some other content creators that I have that I like, that of a watch along party. There are apps that we could use to be able to watch shows together. So let me know if that's something that you're interested, because that way that I can definitely interact with you all, in the chat. That would be very, I'd love to do that. I've been introduced to Discord, but I haven't, I don't have a group or anything in it. I know that I'm in Discord with some other groups that I'm with. So I'll have to check on that, and maybe we can open up a Discord and have a Discord chat. I don't know if I'm ready for Zoom chats or anything like that. Live shows, I want to get my subscriber base up. So if I could get over 100 subscribers, we can do a live. And I can interact with you all. You all can call in and I can interact with you all as my subscribers. But those are a lot of things that I'm looking at on the way. But again, thank you all so much for rocking with me. And as always, let me see. Got to get my stuff together. Bye-bye.